Ryland Grace wakes up in a clinical oval-shaped room with zero memory of who he is or how he got there. He finds himself hooked to life support machinery floating alongside two corpses. His memory returns in fractured pieces, starting with a global crisis. An alien organism called astrophage, a microscopic parasite that consumes radiant heat, is currently draining the sun's energy. This energy loss is rapidly dropping Earth's temperature, guaranteeing an extinction-level ice age within decades. Grace then remembers his role. Administrator Ava Stratt, operating with absolute global authority, drafted him into a desperate mission to Tau Ceti. Tau Ceti is a nearby star that for unknown reasons has remained completely immune to the astrophage infection. As the astrophage threads multiply between the Sun and Venus, the dimming light output dooms Earth. The Hail Mary spacecraft was built to reach Tau Ceti, study its immunity, and send the biological solution back. It is a one-way trip. The crew was never meant to return. With his crewmates dead from complications during the medically induced coma, Grace is now the sole operator of the Hail Mary. Earth's survival depends entirely on a junior high science teacher piecing together the physics of his own ship. This schematic shows the Hail Mary's artificial gravity. In thrust mode, engine acceleration pushes the crew downward. At Tau Ceti, engines stop and it enters centrifuge configuration. The ship splits, connected by cables, and rotates. The centrifugal force maintains gravity without using fuel. Grace realizes he is not alone at Tau Ceti. He detects Blip A, another massive spacecraft. Unlike the Hail Mary, this vessel uses massive flat surfaces, a highly inefficient shape for internal pressure, suggesting an entirely different approach to engineering. Grace establishes contact with an alien engineer he names Rocky. Using xenonite, an ultra-strong temperature-resistant polymer synthesized by the aliens, Rocky built a connecting tunnel between their airlocks, allowing them to communicate and share resources. This comparison illustrates the absolute biological divide between them. Grace requires a standard Earth mix of oxygen and nitrogen at room temperature. Rocky is an iridian, requiring an atmosphere of superheated high-pressure ammonia. Exposure to each other's environment would be instantly lethal. Despite operating across a transparent, impenetrable barrier, the human and the iridian pool their intellects. They must solve the astrophage crisis together, translating centuries of scientific development across a physical wall. Together, they discover the secret to Tau Ceti's immunity. The local atmosphere contains Taumoeba, a microscopic predator native to the system that naturally hunts and consumes astrophage cells. But there is a complication. The wild Taumoeba die instantly when exposed to the nitrogen in Rocky's ship. Grace spends weeks rapidly breeding successive generations of the microbe, forcing them to adapt until a strain successfully survives in the iridian atmosphere. With their home systems seemingly saved, Rocky uses his advanced engineering to refuel the Hail Mary. By synthesizing massive amounts of astrophage, Rocky gives Grace the fuel for the return to Earth. Grace prepares his backup plan, 4 automated probes called Beetles. He loads each with mission data and living samples of the Taumoeba, programming them to navigate back to Earth automatically. Both the Hail Mary and the Blip A fire their engines, entering escape vectors from Tau Ceti. The long journey home begins for both engineers. Weeks into his return trip, Grace discovers a catastrophic oversight. He bred the Taumoeba to survive nitrogen, but inadvertently bred them to consume xenonite, the very material containing Rocky's astrophage fuel. Rocky's ship will lose all its power, leaving him to die in deep space. Grace faces an immediate choice. He launches all 4 Beetle probes toward Earth, entrusting humanity's survival to automation. He then fires his own engines, burning his remaining fuel to intercept the Blip A. By turning back to save Rocky, Grace accepts that his own food supply will run out before he can ever reach home. Years later, Grace is living on Erid. Because Iridian gravity is dangerously high, and their world is perpetually dark to human eyes. He resides in a specialized, brightly lit xenonite dome, working as a science teacher for Iridian children. One day, Rocky brings Grace telescope telemetry. Light traveling from Earth finally reaches Erid. In the lens, the sun shifts from a dull, infected red and reaches full luminosity. The beetles made it. Earth is safe. The dimming of two stars threatened to wipe out two civilizations. They survived because two isolated scientists chose to abandon self-preservation, proving that the solution to an extinction-level threat was cross-stellar cooperation.